Welcome everybody back to another BOLDcast One Piece reaction. I'm Carson.
I'm Lindsay.
And this is One Piece episodes 273 and 274. Last time we got second gear. We kicked it up into second gear. Luffy's like glowing pink and shit. He's smoking.
He's sweating profusely. He's shiny.
Smoking on that BLUENO pack. Let's see what happens this time. Leave a like and subscribe. Check out Patreon to get 2 weeks ahead of Uncut, 1 week ahead of edited reactions for One Piece, as well as a bunch of other stuff from the main channel, which is also linked in the description. Hope you guys enjoy. Once again, leave a like and subscribe. Let's go! Justice Barkerville.
I have no idea. I'm not even in this story. Just a literal tornado. You don't say. Get him, Chopper.
They say Kerberos? That's funny. Kerberos. They're stepping up this episode. This is good.
Look at Yokozuna, he's just going crazy. Bro, who cares about this trial?
Unforgivable. Whoa. Is he going second
He's
gear?
leveling up too.
What?
Damn. I would assume.
What the hell was that? All right. Wow. Anyway. Yeah. What about the other strong guy?
What are you doing?
I love how we just saw that shit with Zoro and it's just like, oh wow. Like
I mean, he already cut through a wave, all kinds of, like, 5 different types of gates. He's like, I've been so focused on Nami
come on,
that
Mr.
I forgot
Prince.
about Robin. Oh my god.
Please stop him. Please stop him.
Stop. How did that?
Thank God somebody was keeping an eye on him. Thank fucking God Chopper saw him.
On this guy? I love their faces.
Robin, all right, let's split up. We got one guy running the opposite direction, the other ultimate strong guy running way too fast into the breach alone.
Yeah. They're just like, yeah, I don't know if Franky's making it out of this one. Oh no. I just love how Chopper's jacket just inexplicably is made of the
Stretchy.
stretchiest material.
How dare you?
Come on.
I love. Was it just not explain what that other guy was?
I think it might be coming around back to that.
Yeah.
Because there's a couple other guys of it.
I feel like they must have been like prisoners who were conscripted because they had the ball and chain. That's my only theory. But it was on their wrist, not their ankle. So I don't know.
This should be easy work.
And
Just
there's,
cut
like-
him right now. Cut his heads off right now. Cut him in half.
Zoro doesn't kill men while they're down. Right?
He should.
Yamino!
It's like, wow, my back has never felt so good.
Yeah, stretches him right out. It's straight up Mr. Incredible moment. All right, now kill Justice. Kerberos. Care Bears.
I feel like this is the perfect matchup for the Franky family. Like, just same level of just weirdness.
Alright, what's going on there, second gear? It must have been the same thing. Zoro must have been doing the same shit. Because they're both like super hot. I just ate a lot on the way over here. To pay no mind.
When you say it like that, it's kind of disturbing.
Kill him, Luffy. Oh, I just realized there's D's on his sword. I didn't even notice that.
You should be scared. Go ahead. Oh my god.
Jet pistol. Holy shit!
What? Oh my god.
They're not even gum moves. They're just pistol, right? What, did you see the square on him? That must have been an animation weird thing. There's like a square around him when he was jumping back. Holy shit!
Oh my god.
Oh, it's like a fucking beam. He's going so fast it's not even like a punch. Oh!
Holy shit. He's so fast. Like,
no doubt about it. What? Yeah, no, so it's not even a devil fruit thing. Okay, interesting. There's some Sun Wukong shit going on here.
how long can he stay in here? Oh, he had to strengthen his body.
We gotta look back at that after this. Yeah, what'll happen?
Go on, go all in. Oh.
10 times.
He's so scary right now.
He's just studying him and then just learned it. Makes sense since he's the Monkey King of the pirates. Extra momentum?
Oh god.
He's so fucking badass, dude. Did it run out?
Oh no.
More interesting stuff.
Like what?
What? He already has another transformation just in the pocket? He has third gear already?
Man.
He just
hit
didn't
him
have
so
to use
hard
it?
he just knocked him out.
He just killed his ass right there. Luffy's
Just puts the hat back.
just in case you didn't. Wow. Okay. So Luffy has 2 transformations. His body can't keep up. It'll take some time, but maybe. Oh, so it's like a trump card. It's like it'll really fuck him up if he goes to the next level. Much like Kaioken as well. Another Sun Wukong transformation type thing. Well, Goku, but you know what I mean. People, if you know, you know. Forward, Elbaf warriors. Oh, Sogeking. This episode is insane. We were just gonna watch one, but we might have to watch more. Come on. We were so tired before this, but this is way too fucking crazy.
Look, what's he?
He's parrying them, I think, because that's why his arm's moving like that.
Damn. Yokozuna's crazy.
He's been training, he's been doing nothing but train. He's the fucking, he's the Netero of this world. Jesus.
I love just how dedicated they all are. It's so good.
How's Franky gonna feel when his entire family is probably taken away? Because that's probably why he would go with the Straw Hats, as if they all got arrested. This is getting fucking intense.
Yeah. Oh. Just take. Oh my god, what an idiot.
Don't talk to Zoro like that.
He got lost. I can
It's okay.
talk.
He'll just cut his way through the entire building. Well, he's right about that.
Honestly, they would just find some way to follow you.
Either, we don't know what the deal is. There's like sea kings like crazy, probably no current. They don't have a ship, you know? Yeah. Yeah, this is gonna probably change some shit.
Yeah.
Several hundred years?
I mean, why would anyone try? Yeah. Their bounties are gonna be like so crazy.
Yeah, if anybody didn't have a
after
bounty, they're gonna have one after this. That was
So
such a good
good.
episode.
Aww.
Choppa. I love how they have the name of the person. If you haven't really listened to this, I just want to watch it. Luffy, King of the Pirates, with Laboon.
Cute. Oh, Laboon. Was Chopper flying around like that before?
Yeah, he was. That's a nice Nami. Holy crap, ladies and gentlemen.
That was a crazy
That
episode.
was insanity. Oh, that was the opening. That was insanity.
That was crazy.
Luffy going second
He
gear.
was getting kind of scary. It's real. I feel like when he was like, there's a certain moment in that, and I'm like, I feel like the guy that they cast for the live action was like made for that moment. Like it was really giving off the vibe because we talked about Law in the live action how he was like often very unsettling. It was
Yeah.
like he loves his friends to the extent that it's like almost disturbing, and you're scared of what he's capable of.
Yeah.
And like that was the vibe of him in this scene of like, wow, I'm really glad I met you guys.
Yeah.
Because now I never have to leave my friends.
Yeah,
and
like
it's just like,
his.
I'm like, I'm on your side, but like, you know,
It's like-
there's something about it.
Talk about the live action for 1 second. Yeah, it's like in the first season, One Piece was so much more wacky and gag oriented compared to like, you know, it still is, but like it's clearly in a transitional phase we're at right now. But like the live action had to make things a lot more serious, and it was like just the nature of Luffy. He's such a larger than life character that like it's hard to play that straight,
Yes.
you know, like and play that like
in a live action
yeah,
format.
and I feel like the actor for Luffy really pulled it off, but it was definitely like a different interpretation because out of necessity, because Luffy is just the kind of character that on the face of it, it's just doesn't really work one-to-one in live action. There has to be some compromise with like the presentation of the character, but I think that they landed it pretty well. But I can see this like as Luffy, as the story changes and Luffy fits into it a little bit more, or not more, like he wasn't fitting in, but just as things change, and in this version of Luffy here, like the way he's acting here, I feel like, I forget his name, Inaki, he'll be able to do a really good job. But, so Luffy went second gear, and I want to see...
apparently he was prepping up for third gear.
He was ready to do third gear, and I don't know where did he get these names? I guess I like that it's simple like that, because it's like, oh, where do you get these names? But it's like a bike or like
It's like anything. It's like, it
you're
would
getting
make
into the
sense if
second
it's
gear,
like,
third gear.
it's like, what are you gonna call just kind of generally powering yourself up? You
Yeah.
know, like you could call it like, oh, ultra supersonic Luffy mode.
Yeah, because
but
like
it's
Super
why
Saiyan was a
bother?
legend, and Kaioken was trained by King Kai, who's like a god of the world in Dragon Ball or whatever. So his power-up was Kaioken was named after King Kai, and then the Super Saiyans was like an old legend of the Saiyan race that Goku is a part of, and he was like passed down, and Vegeta told him like, oh, the Super Saiyan, the warrior of legend who's gonna like avenge us or whatever, all this stuff. So it was they have like titles that are passed down. In Sage Mode, it's like a thing that's passed down. It's
like a thing.
Yeah. And so there's context for it, but in Luffy, again, because he's not like a martial artist, you know, he's just a strong guy who is just kind of insane. So for him to call it, I'm going into second gear, it's a thing that kind of makes sense just naturally, and it doesn't, you don't have to like jump over these weird hoops in your mind. Like if it was called like, oh, I'm Super Luffy level 1, and then he's like, now I'm going into Super Luffy level 2, and it's like, why did you call yourself Super Luffy? Like, I guess that would make sense too, but like something about I'm going into second gear, or I'm going into third gear is a really sort of,
it's just, you immediately
visceral,
know what it means.
Yeah, and you know, the audience knows what it means, and it's believable that Luffy would call, like if he felt like a change in presence to himself, that he would just call it that, you know, like it's something that you could imagine somebody with no context calling that kind of a change if they went into an anime transformation. So I like that. Do you think that Amir Pirate has good command of Shave? No, besides the fact that he used Shave, he strengthened his body enough to be able to use Shave easily.
I like that.
Does this mean that he's had so much potential from the start? What a bad joke. So what do you think is the deal with that?
Okay, so you're saying like, oh, it's not a devil fruit. I think it's both. I think he's using the devil fruit to enhance his body. That's what he was like prepping up, and why he went all pink and stuff, because they don't change at all whenever they use any of their abilities. Like even Iron Body, it doesn't have a physical
as far as we know.
As far as we know, but we've seen them like do stuff and they've never like turned pink or like looked weird. But from what I can tell and like what it seems to be trying to imply, it's like he is using his devil fruit to enhance his body in some way. I'm not exactly sure how.
To take the brunt of these abilities.
So that he can be able to kick 10 times instantly in a way that he wouldn't be able to normally if he wasn't like powered up and gave himself extra like springiness or extra, you know, strength. But he can't do it for very long. And I'm also wondering if like Gear 3 is like the same thing but stronger, or like a different, it boosts him up in some other way, like we were kind of talking about before. Yeah,
it's good writing to have him like, oh, he has another thing but not show it.
Yeah,
because then if one, like from an author's perspective, it just from an audience perspective, it's just hype as shit, and it gets us excited for the next time that he's going to fight somebody stronger, because we know that there's people that are stronger that he's going to be having to fight. Second, from an author's point of view, like many things that Oda does, is he gives a taste of it, or he introduces the concept, because he probably knows, I want to take this further, but he doesn't have to do all the work for everything at once. You know, he can say that there's more to come, and give that province to the audience without having to stop everything and design a new power level thing. Like design, like he doesn't need to know what that is right now. He just needs to say that it's coming, and then he has time to like work that out, and then while everybody's chewing on that, then he can introduce that later. So whether or not he has the idea right now solid 100% for what third gear is going to be, he can work that out by himself, and it's something that he's done a million times before, where he introduces something that he knows that he wants like the concept of, but he doesn't know how it'll look necessarily, and it might change here and there. So that's good. But I think as far as the power says, I think that you're right. That he's sort of, it's a classic shonen thing. I'm drawing a lot of comparisons, but like it's a very shonen. It's a classic, and it makes sense. This is a classic shonen, but it's a good. It's something that kids can relate to a lot for a shonen protagonist, because Luffy's like, he's dumb, but he's really strong, and he has a big heart. That's like classic shonen. He's smart in
like certain battle techniques, and like he gets like inspiration.
Like just like how Naruto is learning the Rasengan, for example. There's a certain way. It's just like you make the thing in your hand, and then you make the chakra go both ways at the same time, and you just do it. Everyone, like the other people who are way more powerful or knowledgeable than him, who can do it, can just do it that way. But it's a big thing, and I think it's good for like kids who grow up with a series like this to like have the main character be able to do the crazy thing, but do it in their own way.
Yeah.
Learn how to like manipulate, use their own strengths to bring out a better version of what they want to do. So Luffy didn't go through the training that these guys did for their entire lives to be able to use these techniques. But he does have his own strengths that he can use to make. So if he can, like, you know, because I think a lot of people, like, it's an important thing in shown because it's a good way to relate to kids who, like, in class, you need to do this math problem. Oh, that's not the way you're supposed to do it. Do it this way that you don't understand or it doesn't make sense to you. But I got the answer, you know, this way, and there's nothing wrong with my math. Oh, well, you have to learn it this way type thing. So I think that's relatable to a lot of kids who watch One Piece growing up, or any shonen growing up. But another thing I want to talk about was I talked about the Sun Wukong. So Goku is based on Sun Wukong, who is the main character, or one of the main characters, not the main character, but one of the main characters of Journey to the West, which is a very influential thing. I'm sure, like, you know, One Piece has been studied to death, so, like, I don't think this is a surprise to anybody, but plenty of characters in shonen manga have been based off of Sun Wukong. He's the super overpowered Monkey King protagonist, and Luffy is Monkey D. Luffy, and he wants to be king of the pirates, and he's learning. You know, the thing with Sun Wukong is he can adapt. He, like, is invincible. He becomes immortal, like, 5 different ways to ensure that he lives forever. He literally, you know, challenges gods and demons, and you know, he's insane in, like, every way possible. But the thing that he can do is he can transform into different things, and he can he is most known for basically, like, stealing people's abilities, or, like, being able to copy things that they do. That's why that's such the idea of copying things is a big deal in shonen. It's like a main character ability in a lot of shonen, is that they see something and then you're, like, able to just adapt to it instantly. So it makes sense that he's able to do that here, where he just sees them doing the 6 powers and is able to just see that, visualize it, and then just do it himself. Again, he's doing it in his own way, but that's you know, it's going back to the possible one of the main inspirations of that Luffy was probably brought from, and that many different shonen protagonists are brought from.
Bro was about to turn to a Titan over here.
Yeah, he's fighting his. That has to be a fucking. They had to have taken that for Attack on Titan. There's no way that Isayama didn't see this shit. Or didn't read this growing up. There's no way. Like, he's about to bite his thumb. That can't be a fucking coincidence. There has to be some inspiration there. Well, I guess we'll see more when he
actually does
when
it.
He uses
what
it.
He's gonna do.
But that's really interesting. Or I wonder if he'll bite his thumb and then pull it like a ripcord.
Yeah, that'd
and maybe
be
it'll be like a
crazy.
Chainsaw Man type thing where he, like, pulls the ripcord. Maybe there'll be some more connections there to, like, modern shonen.
I love the moment, like, I love when he, like, hit BLUENO and then he was, like, coming out of it and he was like, shit, like, and you're like, oh crap, this, because, like, when Luffy first is just going crazy, you're like, oh, he's just gonna beat him, like, this episode. Like, it's like, this is not gonna get dragged out at all. And then you're like, oh, actually, maybe BLUENO's stronger than we thought. And then he just falls down. Like, I feel like that kind of roller coaster of emotions. Because at first, when BLUENO shows up, it's like, oh no. Like, it's like, oh god, this guy with the doors and he's doing all this stuff. And it's just like, you know, it's kind of like, who's gonna win? And then Luffy powers up and it's like, okay, Luffy's gonna win. Yeah. And then just the fact that it happens so fast, too, especially compared to previous arcs, like, nothing so far since the fighting has started has felt like those moments that have been in every other arc of One Piece, that, you know, you get to a point you're like, I don't want to see this guy. Like, with the ramen guy earlier on the train, it's just like, since we got here, there has been none of those, and there's been introduced so many guys.
It's been dragged out quite a bit, to be fair. Like, but I know what you mean.
But it's not in that classic way of, like, a guy gets introduced and you're like, here we go again, and then they just keep yapping and, like, flipping around, and you're like, just, you can slice through, like, 50 doors, just beat this guy, you know what I mean? Like, there hasn't been a lot of that, so it's just like, when everything is just, like, happening, and we have different groups, and they're all just, like, triumph after triumph after triumph. They, like, get knocked down and then they come back, like, twice as strong. It's just, I feel like it's very satisfying, and it just keeps ratcheting up and getting you more excited.
It's moments like this, like, I really am glad that we're watching the anime, but it's moments like this, like, I can see this last batch of episodes, because it's been, like, whatever, 5 or 10 episodes where you just been, like, pushing through the town. I imagine it was far less time in the manga, But it's times where I wish that I could see. I mean, I could just go read the manga as well, but like, it's like it hits so hard here, and it just feels like it broke through this like membrane of you know, this. I could see everything that was happening, but like the emotion came through for me really this episode a lot. I mean, there were moments like with the Yagura getting shot and killed and shit like that, but this is just it takes it to a new level where I'm like in it. You know what I'm saying? Like, and that's what it's almost like this struggle all the time with the production aspect of the show, and sometimes it's worse than others. But there are times like this where it just absolutely hits, and I feel like it feels like I'm interacting with the real story and not just like a representation of it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's and it works really well. I loved Usopp as well. Like
so good.
The brothers, his
He's
now
just,
my
like,
brothers.
so into
forward,
and everyone else is like, "Oh my god, the giants! Like, I can't believe this." Yokozuna, an absolute badass.
Yeah, he's like parrying bullets and shit.
The girls leading the Franky family up and stuff. That was crazy.
Hang on, we had Zoro
do whatever the heck that was.
Let's look at that again. Hang on. So Luffy is like steaming. He's having a big steamer over there. And Zoro does the same thing. I feel like Oda must have like a bias towards Zoro. In fact, I bet he definitely does, because like there's this constant rivalry between Sanji and Zoro.
But like Sanji doesn't do shit like this.
I've called
Sanji's
it out.
legs don't start like flailing in heat.
I wanted to call it out a few, but like that's the thing is it's like Zoro gets these moments and cutting the wave.
Yeah.
Sanji got wands, which if you think of the fight with wands, like I said, I think that was a cooler idea for a fight than what we got, because Wands was such a stupid shithead villain.
Yeah.
But like the idea of Sanji always holding back, like,
and then he gets
the opportunity to use this ability. It's like, holy shit! Sanji just got like 50 times stronger, because now he's like he has
he's
weapons.
In his element,
you know? He fully has. He's in his favored terrain over here. So like that's Sanji's big moment. That and Mr. Prince, but like that was again more of a silly thing. So like the fucking the rivalry between Zoro and Sanji seems so lopsided when you get shit like this, because Zoro and they serve different purposes in the group, but they're both supposed to be cool guys. But like Zoro's the cool guy who's like a badass cool guy, and then Sanji's the cool guy who's like a funny, like relatable, suave kind of, or just like fun. You know, like they serve different purposes, but like they're kind of right. But it's like you said, Sanji doesn't get shit like this, even when it's his badass moment. So to see Zoro just like, oh, Luffy's getting a power-up? I guess Zoro is too. Like, it's insane, and I'm not complaining.
The Reaper Death Seal.
I was gonna say that, but I've already made too many fucking Naruto references.
I couldn't resist.
Enbima Yonezu. I want to look that up, but I also don't want to look that up. They also said Onigiri but he said Onikiri. I think it's a sub problem, because he always says Onikiri, but it's a rice ball, because Onigiri is a rice ball, and all the shit's named after rice balls or different like sushi stuff. So maybe this is as well. But anyway, what the fuck? Like it's just out of nowhere he gets this cool thing
and knocks them all down,
and then he's like, all right, anyway. Like,
I mean, and I love the Franky family like surprised again, and it's just like, man, like no one else's face. They're just like, we've seen him cut through.
How is this guy not the
wave.
captain?
Yes, they're like, I love that, because they haven't really. I mean, Luffy helped hit through the wave, obviously, but it's like. They're just like, Jesus Christ, like, this is insane. And then I love how they're like, oh my god, these guys are so strong, I can't even believe how strong these guys are. And then they just see, like, all this foolery, like, they fight each other, they get a little scrap, they, like, Sanji, like, bulldozes them out of the way, Zoro's, like, going in the wrong direction, and they're just like, alright, maybe, they were like, like, you could tell, like, their confidence was like, we're getting Franky back, and then they were like, we might not be getting Franky back, guys.
So with this, I love it, but it's like a twofold thing. Because one, I love that they're pointing out the thing that is always done to try and separate things and like kind of equal out encounters. It's just a constant thing we talk about a bunch in One Piece, where constantly, because the characters are either too strong or there's too many of us and it doesn't make sense for us to all fight a bunch of no-name dummies, we need to like separate people so that at least there's some tension. So they call this out instantly and are like, Chopper just, hey, Zoro, where are you going? He's like, what are you talking about? We were supposed to go this way. He's like, Nami's like, are you fucking stupid? I said go to the stairs. He's like, well, you didn't explain it properly. She's like, this isn't my fault. But then, so they make fun of it. But then they do it because Sanji is running away alone.
And then Zoro gets lost again by himself.
Zoro gets lost again. So, like, they're poking fun at it, and I guess Oda, and I don't know if this is a manga scene, this little sequence there, them poking fun at Oda poking fun at himself doing this in the story at this point and then doing it is better than him just doing it and just like without any acknowledgement and like, you know, it would be worse if it was just his tendency as a writer, like without even thinking about it, like,
acknowledging
it's just, you know, what am I gonna do? It would be way easier for me to write this if I separate them. It would be way easier on me as a writer if I separate them. And he just constantly does that. The fact that he at least acknowledges that that's something that he does while doing it and joking about it and like again, it's a testament to how good of a writer is, and the self-awareness is really important, at least to me. So even if they still do it, I can excuse it as long as it's an intentional choice and not just a cop-out bullshit thing.
I also really appreciate the whole thing of like Zoro's like, oh, I'm gonna fight this guy, like the Three Justice guy.
Yeah.
But then it's like, me as an audience member, I'm like, I don't really care for that fight. I'm not interested in that guy. That guy sucks. And then the Franky family are like, we're gonna fight him. And I'm like, hell yeah, Franky family, you guys fight him because that's way better than like wasting a Zoro fight on this clown, you know? Yeah.
And it also has the kind of feeling in previous arcs where maybe the ordeals would be a good thing, you know, all the four dudes that are like the four horsemen of the apocalypse of Eneru, where they're built up as if they're gonna be a big thing, but then Oda's like, I don't want this to be the big fight. I'm just gonna make them shitty assholes, and then I'll save the big moment for a more important situation. So it feels like they set up these guys to be like another boss. And whether
it's like that's boring.
Again, well, yeah, because I know people don't like it when we talk about it this way, but it's really interesting to me to like think about this because I feel it's genuinely interesting because Oda it's characters like this are like a safety net for him, like and Wands or whoever, all these little villains like this, they're a safety net so that he can have action, he can have something going on for a chapter or two to help really structure moments like Luffy versus BLUENO and other big things like that. It's like, and now the other fucking Spandam is like leaving. He's like, they're trying to escape.
Yeah. So
that, you know, but now that we're here, so like these guys were introduced earlier as like a mini boss. But now that we're here, it seemes like maybe Oda got the time that he needed in order to plan out where this was
Everything was going, yeah.
where specifically it was going, not just like that there was he obviously knew that there was going to be a big confrontation or some sort of thing, some sort of big moment, but the fact that he like, and that's why he probably created this guy, like I said, to give himself a little bit more space to like have some action, have something going on while he solidifies the specific events. But since we're already here, it seems like he is kind of rolling with it. And that's what you get that feeling in a lot of like the best parts of One Piece where it's
it
like,
just feels like it's like, okay, the story is like telling itself almost.
Exactly.
It's like,
yeah.
And you hear like, if you look at like interviews or like things, not Oda specifically, but like different authors and like writers, even just of novels, it's like, you can plan out how you think it's gonna go, but then when you're actually going, you might think, actually, this feels more natural and is more in line with this, what the story is like telling me at this moment. So you could say, I mean, maybe it was maybe this was always the intention, or maybe it was like, oh, I don't know who's gonna fight this guy, but I have this idea of this like Three Justices guy, and then it's like, in the moment, actually, it's better if Zoro doesn't fight him because now, I don't know, I can't remember if those other because like we have the main CP9 guys, and then we have those other like weird goofy CP9 guys, and I can't remember if they were introduced before this guy. I think maybe
they were.
Oh well, either way, it's like we have a lot of guys. We have a lot of like not like named opponents basically. or like distinct opponents.
Yeah.
So it's like when you have it built up that much and then you like getting into it and then it's like, okay, who's gonna stop here and fight this guy? Who's gonna fight this guy? Which of them is gonna come and challenge? You know, what are we gonna do with the Franky family? Because we have them too. There's like so many like players in the game basically. And what I feel like what I really like about it is that like so many of just like the random fodder people are being treated as just a literal fodder. They're getting like swept up in a tornado. They're getting run over. They're getting stomped on. Like they're not trying to. I don't know. Just something about it is like flowing very well, and like the fights are feeling very appropriately like paced and like matched. Yeah. You know, like I'm feeling like I'm interested in every fight, and I'm not getting that sense of frustration of like, you can just take this guy. Come on, you know.
That's why the ball, or that exact feeling of like, you just come, like, can we stop fucking, like, we know that Sanji's stronger than Wands. We know that, you know, who was in that fight? Sanji, Usopp, and Luffy are all stronger than Ball Ordeal, douchebag, like things like that. That's what's frustrating about it, is because it just like, but anyway, so. We all know what's frustrating about it, but the point is, that feeling of the story's like writing itself. It feels like Oda is constantly. It feels like One Piece as a story is constantly, every arc is trying to reach that point, and sometimes arcs reach it faster than others. But here, it really feels like we've been in that since like Water 7 has been happening. You know, we've been in that flow where it's just shit is happening and it just kind of happens
and it
naturally.
Just makes sense.
But there's still like these, you know, the moments where that like breathing room thing, and the thing with Oda is he'll create characters like this that are sort of to have that breathing room for probably planning, or, you know, making sure that the big moments are as big as they can be. But then once we get to them, he doesn't like milk it for all it's worth. He'll sacrifice these designs of these characters he's probably spent a lot of time on, and, you know, these ideas, and just like just throw them to the side so that we can keep moving. You know, he's in control of how long things take and how fast he wants the story to move, and he can either step on the gas or step on the brakes. And he's deciding to step on the gas and just get past all of this stuff. Yeah. You know, and that's good, because he would only do that if what's coming next is really so good.
Yeah. It's like, I feel like he, you know, usually is like maybe puffing Tom, and then he gets into these moments where he switches into Rocket Man and just like fucking keeps going, and it cannot stop, you know? Like I feel like it's just so good when we like get into those zones, like, especially like it just, I feel like it makes me appreciate the show, and just I'm able to really enjoy it, especially after like stuff like Skypiea, where there was like a lot to love, but like so much of it was like stopping me and holding me back. And then like through Water 7, I've just been getting more and more and more invested. And even if there was episodes that were maybe slower, like, you know, we spent an entire episode just like searching for Luffy and Zoro with Chopper, and we're just like driving around, like not doing much. An entire
episode of Sanji walking slowly to the train station alone.
But it's like, what's happening is so good, that like it stuff like that does not detract from my enjoyment at all. It doesn't feel like I'm, you know, okay, I'll get through this because I'm really enjoying what's coming next. It's like everything is so good, and any bit of like, you know, pacing is like slowing down the pace a little bit to do something. It just feels so worth it, you know? Like,
I think it also, a small thing, but a very important thing, is that we're skipping the opening now. Like, because we can't watch, because there's spoilers, but there's also like literal 5-minute recap and opening, like, or 6-minute. One episode, it was literally 9.5 minutes in, did the episode actually start. So like, that's the kind of shit that is just, as far as a production level, is just kind of bullshit. But if you're binging it and can skip all that stuff,
then it just makes it so
each
good.
episode being 10 to 12 minutes long, roughly speaking, or maybe 15 minutes, makes a little bit more sense, because then there doesn't have to be a lot of that dragging stuff, and it feels like things are really moving a lot. And I think that's the kind of thing that we don't normally do. We don't normally skip openings, but that's a lot of, I think, maybe a disconnect that we feel a lot with binging stuff, where we usually, you know, let's consume it as was intended, where we watch it from beginning to end, watch the opening every single time, the ending every single time. But most people are just like in the midst of a binge, they're skipping all this shit anyway.
Yeah.
And so a lot of people, I think there's a disconnect between us and a lot of people out there where we aren't experiencing things in the same way, but we're kind of doing that now. So I kind of like it anyway. That's kind of a minor random thing, but anyway, I'm really excited for this. I love how quick it's moving. I love this like foreboding thing at the end.
Yeah.
With Kokoro, who's sort of this shaman-esque figure of this arc, who's just like constantly telling us the future.
Yeah, she's just like saying like,
we heard CP9
well, no matter
first from
what.
her lips.
Yeah. It's yeah, I like
Past
that.
several hundred years. Wait, something that no one has been able to do in the past several hundred years. So several hundred years is kind of an annoying way to putting that. I have to say, because we're dealing with 800 years or 400 years or 2 or 100 years roughly, but like with important events and stuff like that. And we have characters that are 150 years old, but several hundred years doesn't really help us.
It doesn't narrow it down.
Yeah, it doesn't help narrow it down. But I appreciate that Oda is at least putting that out there, that something like this has been done before, and it wasn't Roger, is essentially what I'm taking from this. It wasn't. It happened before with the world government. There was some turmoil, some sort of rebellion or something, but it wasn't probably Roger in this way. So what could that mean? The other things it could mean, it was maybe the blank history or the blank century. Maybe like how we've been theorizing, like an ancient civil war or some sort of great war.
It could also be like, we don't know how long the Marines have necessarily, like,
the world government, you mean?
And the Marines, because like this place is like, you know, also there's the world government and the Navy, and this place is all manned by Marines and stuff.
Yeah.
So I guess what I'm saying is like, if no one had been able to do this in the past several hundred years, it's like, it wasn't like, oh, no one's been able to do this since several hundred years ago. It's like, so I'm just, I guess I'm examining the subtitles, because it's like, it could be basically no one's ever been able to do this because the base is only several hundred years old or less than that. Or like you were saying, someone has been able to do this, but we don't really have a comprehensive history of like, because the Great Pirate era is like relatively recent, which obviously probably ramped up Marine forces in a response.
100%. We saw all the hundreds of captains and officers like in Logetown or whatever, or like just before that, maybe at the end of the Blue Sea arc, whatever. All of them be like, "Ah!" And then it's like they're chanting like, "Oh, we're gonna end the Great Pirate era." Yeah.
So it's like, I guess I'm interested. Like, you know, this is all set up, but you know, thinking about it, it's like, have the Marines been around like 800? You know, like they weren't around probably even 400 years ago.
Something,
you know?
I think 400 years is an interesting number, because that's when Skypiea and Jaya got sent up, but that would be significant here because, okay, so there's the Gates of Justice. I get the feeling that because the Navy is so, or the world government is so about justice and control, they probably gave it that name. Maybe they didn't, but I get the feeling they gave it that name.
But it might have been here before.
I think it's been there before. I think it's one of those things, given the island and the nature of the island with all those old buildings, it, like I said, it feels, and like I mentioned before,
like this is a sacred place.
It feels like a similar vibe to Jaya and Verth and all that shit. The building style and everything, it and the nature of the area. There's a clear distinction between the marine occupied area and the secondary buildings and these like old, almost like Bronze Age looking buildings. And I'm trying to get a good shot of them, but whatever. Yeah. Anyway, you kind of know what I mean. I think that's intentional, that it kind of looks like that. So, and there's these giant gates that are next to it. I imagine this is kind of like one of those ancient poneglyph-related sites that, you know, the world government has co-opted and occupied for the sake of their own use. And several hundred years, to me, seems more like between 400 years ago and now. Or like maybe 400 to 200 years ago is probably the area we're looking at. So... And I think that, I think that 5 Elder Stars, now that I'm trying to remember, I don't remember an exact number for the creation of the world government. We know 400 years ago, there was is it the South Blue? No, it's the North Blue? It's the North Blue, I think. That's where Cricket's ancestors were from. I forget his name now.
Mont Blanc Cricket? Is that what
Cricket is the young, the old Nolan.
Oh, Nolan, yeah.
Noland? Nolan or Nolan?
Yeah, Nolan the Liar.
Yeah. There was a kingdom there, and the world government is made up there's Alabasta and Wapol in his kingdom. Like there's a bunch of kings. So it's possible that as far as 400 years ago, but there was no talk of a navy then. So unless it was just a personal effort for them to go to Jaya to investigate the Gold City and steal all the gold and stuff like that. That was their intention. Either they didn't come there with the navy because there was no navy, or just he was greedy and sent his own soldiers there. We don't know. There's no confirmation on that. My point is, if it was that there was no navy then 300 years ago, roughly, the creation of the world government makes kind of sense, I think. And I think that the reason that Oda put this line here with Kokoro is to start seeding those critical timeline details, I think. And to just, give a mirrored example and some point of history that he has cooking in the background to reveal it.
I feel like I would really appreciate, just the way that things have been set up and just how far back, the fact that we know stuff that happened 800 years ago and it's relevant in the story, I feel like is really important. And just the sort of the range that we've gotten so far, I'm interested to see it expanded with other stuff, like when the world government was established, when the navy was created, when the navy ramped up, and I guess I'm just interested in sort of how that all happened, because it obviously, when the world spawns, that doesn't just happen on its own. And also it would have to be, people would have to start exploring the Grand Line, because it's, it was this crazy place that's undiscovered. But as we've been in here, people have just been living here for so long. So it's at what point did all of these places find each other and then say hey, let's work together and let's establish something? It's just, I guess I'm just interested to know stuff.
Yeah, me too.
And I feel like it will be good, and I really hope that the more we learn, the more I'm interested, because that was something, not to bring up Naruto for the millionth time, but it's I felt like the more we learned about the history in that, the more it was okay, I don't care as much about this history because it's kind of silly.
Once you got it, it was worse than when
it was just left to your imagination.
Potentiality was. I think the thing with Naruto there was that it was
so contained. It was so short.
It was the problem with Naruto's world building was that we would get these kind of pieces of dialogue where there would be a little seed of a great mystery or some sort of inclination about some crazy reveal that'll happen in the future, or some kind of piece of information that'll change our understanding of the world or something. And it would be, you could see where the idea was going, but then the nature of maybe it was editor stuff, maybe it was just Kishimoto kind of getting, fucked up personally, maybe he was just stressed out and changed his things because it was just too difficult or something. Some sort of internal background thing caused the story to go in such a way, or just, genuine incompetence perhaps on some occasions. The story after that main establishment goes in such a way where in order for the story to continue to flow while reincorporating that information, the information needed to, the story would take advantage of the vagueness and the things that were not explained when the stuff was initially seeded, in order to, not even it's not technically a retcon because it was never established what exactly was going on in this or that case. Talk about the Sharingan or Sage of the Six Paths or whatever. We'd hear about it and then it'd be okay, I see where this is going. And then in order for it to fit where we're going, or in order to progress the plot in the way that made sense to Kishimoto, or in the way that whatever fitted his desires or the publisher's desires or the whatever desires, it had to be a way worse version. So it wasn't even that the story was necessarily destined to be bad. It was just that it got kind of fucked with. But I don't think that's going to happen with this. So it makes me really excited to see where Oda takes it. Because I think Oda is once again, we've talked many times. He's a lot more free with his ideas. He doesn't tie himself down. He actively frees himself from a lot of the boundaries that get people caught in shit where they need retcons. So like when things are more wacky than you think, it's not like, oh, that didn't make sense with what we've learned before. It's like, oh, well, Oda is a genius. Like Oda just figured it out, and it's like and so insane, and it just fits perfectly, and he makes it work in a way that other people fail to do. So I think that I'm more optimistic and more interested in where the story, in where the like those kind of reveals in history is going. I'm interested more to learn about the history of the world and how it'll fit into our character's journey. And it's good to feel optimistic about that because it sucks to be this far in and be pessimistic about that.
I think one of the other things like that I really like about it is like that we have history that is not just solely attached to the main character. Yeah. It's like Luffy is not this deal. Like promised chosen child one. Who like the universe revolves around him, you know, like there's other characters involved, there's other people, there's other things, and obviously Luffy, like there must be some kind of connection between Luffy and Gold Roger, like it seems, but it's like we have history going past before Gold Roger. Gold Roger was doing his own shit. Gold Roger was like on his own journey, obviously inspired by something else. So it's like, you know, just I don't know, and the poneglyphs and Robin and like all this stuff, like
it's just that Oda
it's just that it keeps expanding instead of like moving along but getting narrower and more boxed in. It's like everything expands and you're like, oh, I feel like the world is getting bigger, instead of, okay, I feel like I know more about the world but it makes it seem smaller, you know?
Somehow this like offshoot thing just like loops back around and then connects back to the main character rather than just being its own thing.
And I mean, it's good to have some
reincorporation, but not to the main character. It's just like maybe we'll stumble upon where things went down the line and it'll come back to us. But yeah, it's Oda is very good about setting himself up for success at the end of the day. That's really what it is. He sets himself up for success, and he reveals only what is pertinent to the moment, or only what will get us excited to learn more, so that he doesn't put his foot in his mouth and like fuck himself over later where he needs to like change what his plans were. If he keeps his plans close to his chest, like we literally just saw this with Blueno's door thing. It's like he made a little bit of mistake with the whole CP9 reveal. Not mistake is strong, but like I think you know what I mean. Like with the masks changing when they went back the second time, the fact that they went back a second time, like he made it work, and everything ended up working. But it's like it was clear that he had an idea, and then he like kind of had to shake things up a little bit to like shake them back into place. And with the Blueno door things, we see Blueno with Robin, and he goes in, and Robin has to push him to open the door. And okay, so that's how the power works, and that's why there's no trace. Interesting. Okay, no, he can make doors and just basically teleport.
And he make doors out of air, and he can do all sorts of shit.
Yeah, so it doesn't require, there were conditions that were implied in the first way that he used it, and obviously there's the thing with devil fruits where, you know, people who are more experienced with them learn how to use them in different ways, but the point of the point of it is that there was a condition and a drawback to it, and rather than building on that, Oda had different plans, so he used that, but that wouldn't have been a problem if he didn't show that one scene. So like, that's an example where it's like a trip in what he normally does. It's like normally he wouldn't show the thing where Blueno has to be pushed open to open the door. He would, you know, show Blueno turning into the door and opening it, but not that asking Robin to push him or something like that, because that would give him the leeway in order to again set himself up for success. He always does that. He usually does a really good idea, but there's a couple little things there where you can see if you look carefully, but those are counter examples to what I'm saying that he normally does very well. And again, no matter what he does, because of the nature of how wacky his story is and his imagination is, even if there are little like retcons or, you know, shifts in things like that, it works out because he uses it to, like, it ended up being worth it, is the thing.
And it feels like you're not like, oh, why is he
It was used to a great effect because then there's this fight with Luffy that is really emotionally resonant and really hype as fuck. So, like, the whole sacrifice of the logic of Blueno, you know, his door thing evolving in the way that Oda wants to use it in the story in order to create tension, because that's the whole point of all this, is to create emotional investment, to create tension in the audience. The fact that he had to slightly alter it, again, not enough to be a full retcon, but just slightly alter it to the point where he can use it to greater effect. He uses it to greater effect, and it works. Yeah. And a lot of people just like, you know, they would make those changes and then not capitalize on them, and then it makes it, that's when characters start to feel like, okay, so you introduced them one way, and then you didn't like that, so then you kind of changed it or like retconned it in a small way so that you could do something different because this is the idea you had. But then the thing that you retconned for wasn't even cool, or like Kaguya is a perfect example in Naruto.
Yeah.
Anyway, no more Naruto examples. This was fucking great. Leave a like and subscribe. See you in the next one. I'm Carson.
I'm Lindsay.
Bye bye. A guy in a straw hat.
I think it's Straw Hat Luffy, but there's no way to say for sure. He's getting his ass kicked, that's what's happening. Let's take a detour to the kitchen.
Bento.
Such a balanced meal, you know?
Luffy's bento
He's got
box is
meat
just
and meat.
2 cooked thighs. That's all he's got for his bento box.
Luffy, there he is. Go and get him.
Kill him. CP9.
Maybe CP9's not as good. Let me in!
What the What the hell is happening?
He shook up all that.
All the cola.
Yeah.
It's fully just the cola expanding. Is he gonna fart his way to victory? He was holding that one in for a while.
Yeah. I love that a fart was able to break through.
It's a pretty powerful fart. Also, weren't they facing the other way?
Maybe his butt's in a weird place with all those cyborg enhancements.
But like they were up against the far wall, right? From Luffy, there's
I thought so.
Luffy, the wall where Spandan was watching, the room, them, and then the gates of justice behind them, and then he went up like that and then went back behind him. So I don't understand, but maybe I don't get it.
Yeah, go ahead, try and capture them.
What is that face, Robin? What's going on?
Robin.
Too bad.
So just get rid of him already.
Oh, okay. I was gonna say, if that was Spandam who kicked him, that would be so dumb.
Oh, now we're gonna see.
Is Luffy gonna
You
go...
have to fight all these guys at once.
Watch, they're gonna go Pain style, one after the other. And then I'll get absolutely destroyed by Luffy's transformation.
Yokozuna is just the best. Oh.
This guy again.
I thought there was like multiple.
There were 3, I think.
Take him out, Yokozuna.
Well, they're the juries.
You can do it, Yokozuna. So I guess there's like a million of them. Let's go, Chopper. Go, Chopper! Yeah, I don't know why they bothered to have a jury.
What is this shape for their insignia? Like, what does that represent?
Yeah, that definitely seems like a super fair system, doesn't it?
Sounds like Japan to me.
Oh.
That's not nearly as hard as a train.
Poor Yokozuna. I already take 4,000 of them. They've almost taken half of their entire forces down. The
cavalry has arrived.
I love that they love him.
They respect
like, oh,
Yokozuna's
so
warrior
cool.
spirit.
Oh my, and
What
look at all
is
these
this
doors.
Scooby-Doo ass hallway here? Like, I thought they were jail cells, but they just lead to other hallways.
You know what, Zoro is like that's possibly the smartest thing that he's ever done. In terms of directions. And taking out this guy at the same time. Oh, just stomping on those guys. The rooftop, a perfect place for a sniper.
No, let them talk it out. I want to see their despair.
Why do you care? Like... I don't fucking get it. Can you just come back? Come on now.
Who's it gonna be this time? Oh, Zoro? All of them. Oh shit.
Go on.
Do you?
I always love this song.
It's a classic.
Zero awareness.
Battle Royale, CP9 versus all the Straw Hats. Except for Sogeking. There he is!
Did the Giants throw him
Must
up there?
have.
Oh, Chopper. You poor innocent child. Well, it's going back to Skypiea, I guess. Ow. Oh, the mask is gonna have broken off. If only Usopp were here to see this.
Are you right? Is the mask gonna be off? This is so awesome! I'm so hyped up!
Oh, the mask's still on.
Oh my god. So awesome. I like he's standing with Luffy as well.
The two captains. That's crazy that that was a whole episode.
Whoa. That's a good Lucci. Oh my god, that shot with everybody.
That was so good. I love them all like walking. I love that whole part was so good. Usopp like flying through the air and they're like, oh my god, it was so good. And look at this like...
Yeah, what is that?
I didn't even register that.
It's like a new pole slingshot, almost like...
It can probably shoot like super far. I feel like it would be hard to aim, but you know, he's the king of snipers, so what else could you expect from a guy like him?
It's just the kind of guy he is. I don't even know what to say, it's so hype.
It's so good. I love that.
The music was so perfect.
I love that Spandam comes out and he's like, oh, well, she just said that she doesn't want to go back and she wants to die. I can only imagine the look on his face as he's devastated by this. It's just like, he's just, yeah, okay, that's fine, Robin. I don't know what you're talking about. Just come back with us. And
then you can die.
Then you can die. You can do what you want. Just, we're already here. Come on, get in the car, let's go.
Get in the car. Oh my goodness. I just want to move on, I think.
Yeah, that was so good. Yokozuna was so good, and I love that the Elbaf warriors respected him. It's like, that
frog really knows what he's doing.
Like, I almost want to cry, and I'm just thinking, because it's just like, I don't know, just like from what we knew about the Elbaf warriors and like how like they take such pride and they have like a really kind of high standard, like they you know, like just the fact that like Yokozuna has been so good the whole time, and then they see him and they immediately respect him and are like, wow, he's so strong and has really been fighting good. You'd love to see it.
Epic. Leave a like, subscribe, we're moving right along.